All right, the meeting is now called to order. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's pretty packed in here tonight. Welcome, everyone. So we have a couple special presentations, which is why we're packed in here. So we're excited to have everyone here. It's not normal. It's not normally like this. We get a few people. So when we have a lot of people, it's nice to have these people. And I'd like to keep them here for a long time because it's nice to have an audience for us. I'm sure you guys can appreciate that. No, I won't do that to you. But we're excited to have you guys here. I know that there was a special honor for some young men in the room here who happened to win the Little League World Series this year. So we certainly want to talk about that. And where is Kelly Campbell?
Right here. How you guys doing? So I reached out to Jesse and we talked about you guys doing something that's pretty incredible. So we wanted to have you guys come back in and tell you how proud we are of you to be from Georgetown and do pretty great things. So I don't mess the story up, would one of you coaches like to step up and kind of talk about, I know it was a huge double header and like, come on up, man. I don't want to do you wrong.
Okay. Don't be shy.
So they started off. It was a little rough season starting off. We lost a few games, but they all stuck with it throughout the season, and they all worked really hard all year. And we made an incredible run at the highest level that we could make it. We made it to the Little League World Series. We won 2 games that night, and it's something that me and I hope all these guys will remember forever because the way these boys come together was incredible. And every one of them had a smile on their face, and I'll always remember that. And I want to thank you guys for that, and I want to give you guys another round of applause. All the Little League World Series was played in Sharonville, right?
Yeah.
Blue Ash Sports Park.
I think a lot of these kids look familiar too. Didn't they also win a soccer championship?
There was a core 5 of them that did. Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. They won a soccer state championship. They won a baseball at the highest level championship. And if we could play basketball, they'd win it at the highest championship, right? What they said?
Sounds like we're going to have to come up with some space for a lot more signs, for sure. Because it seems like you guys are very talented, and there's a lot more to come from this group. So we're very excited. Kelly, we have a sign for them too as well, don't we?
So, like we did for the soccer team, we took your team photo, and we have all the names on it, and we're trying to work on a pretty big plan for the park for the next year. I have a big banner made as well we're going to try to turn the back baseball, softball area into, some pretty cool things. So this will be hung up. We're still trying to figure out where to put everything, but we definitely have that, and then we also have some stuff to give you. So whenever you want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we do this? We'll have the coaches and the boys line up front here, and then we'll do our certificates.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Come on up here and line up, boys. Scoot up so us coaches can be on the back right there.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all come back here?
Yeah, that's right. Tell Seth to
Scoot up.
All right, so we have a special certificate for each of you, recognizing your big win. And you have the mayor's signature, and you have our president of council's signature on there too. So lots of good stuff coming your way.
Yes, so Coach Slack,
Thank
that
you.
one, we appreciate it. Seth?
Thank you.
We'll get past that.
Okay.
Yeah.
and Jesse. And then,
We've got the boys, let's see. We've got Jackson Liming. Congratulations. Braxton Otto. Isaiah Slack. Congratulations. Pax Burrows. Oakley McJoint Griffith. Fantastic. Isaac Slack. Cooper Bonar. Trip Miranda.
Trippy.
Kaylin Tracy. Caden Johnson. And Zach, sorry.
There.
I knew he was in there somewhere. All right, guys, we are extremely proud of you. We're so excited that you guys came in tonight to celebrate with us. And we've got, as Kelly showed, we have a big sign that we're going to be putting in the park to commemorate this event. But even more so, I'm excited to see what comes over the next, 10 years? There's going to be big stuff coming from you guys. I just know it. So we can't wait to see you back in this chamber. All
Say
right.
thank you. Thank you.
You guys want to do some pictures?
Sure.
No.
Too bad. Too bad.
Not really.
Jackson said no. Me too, I said no.
you guys want to hold, who's the middleman here?
Jackson, Isaiah.
It's fine.
How about Zach can hold it?
I don't know. Probably too low, isn't it?
There you
go. Can you hold that sign up? Who's the best player on the team?
Me.
There it is. Good answer. Good answer.
All right, guys. Let's shake hands.
Walk through
Congratulations.
this way. Shake them out.
Come on.
Walk on through.
Congratulations.
Walk through. Walk through.
Congratulations. 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 Congratulations.
Shake hands.
Congratulations. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reagan. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
You just gonna slide?
Bye.
See you guys.
All right. So that was fun. That's very exciting. Let's keep up the special presentations. We have another one for tonight. We have some good stuff going on in our electric department. And Jerry, I will invite you forward and allow you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you guys for this time. The reason I'm here today is wanted to do a special recognition for one of my employees in my department, Dana Holland. Dana has been and continues to be one of my best employees in the Village of Georgetown Electric Department. His dedication to and knowledge of our trade is invaluable, firstly to the Village of Georgetown and to myself as well as his teammates. Dana has recently completed a comprehensive lineman certification training that exceeds the Department of Labor's requirements for a formalized apprenticeship program, which is 144 hours instruction per year. I am proud of this great accomplishment that Dana has completed, and I'm very fortunate to have him as a journeyman lineman here in the village. This certification is not only recognized as an accredited program, it is also selected to be used by our wholesale power supplier and provider, AMP Ohio, American Municipal Power. It consists of 4 certification modules. Each module is 150 plus hours of training. There are 10 courses and exams per module. Each module takes 1 year to complete, but with daily workload and on-the-job training, it can commonly take approximately 2 years to complete each module. This apprenticeship certification program combines on-the-job training, coursework, and exams.
Here are just some sample modules that are samples of what's in the modules when this course is completed. Applied mathematics, electrical theory, your voltage, amperage, Ohm's law, atomic structure, capacitance, inductance, AC fundamentals, live line equipment and methods. It's your rubber glove testing methods, rubber glove methods, working with rubber gloves, barehanding without rubber gloves, hot sticking and PPE, which is your personal protective equipment. Advanced transforming, 3-phase transformer connections, fusing and loading and installation of these. System operation, distribution operation, clearing lines and equipment, and sectionalizing sections of wire in an event of emergencies. Trouble investigation, which we've had some of that just recently. Communications, trouble, investigations on transformers and lines, investigating customer complaints that we deal with. It also goes over safety. There's four parts of the safety and one part per module. It goes over personal protective equipment, hazards of the job briefings, communication, and public safety. The NESC, which is the National Electrical Safety Code, that just changed this last year. It changes every 5 to 6 years. It deals with the requirements that we have to abide by, heights of the wire, how much workspace is between the cable TV and the electric, road crossings, metering, everything from the substation all the way to the customer's meter. Once it hits the meter, then it's a different set of codes, which is called the NEC, I'm sorry. And then the last section, the last one I had on here was OSHA. That's a huge part of ours. We actually fall under PERP because we're a public employer, but they follow OSHA standards, if not at least OSHA standards, but more stringent than OSHA standards. So Dana, can you come forward? And I've actually completed the same training, actually 4 years ago. I got this certification myself also. So I want to provide him with his completion of certificate here. Long, hard work. Thank you, sir. Welcome. Thank you, John.
Too far. We also have a certificate for you as well. We understand that this is a big thing, a lot of work to take on for sure. It sounds like, gosh, I didn't realize it can take years to do with that training. So I appreciate the education too as well, and can't imagine how you can double duty all that and get it done. So congratulations. I have a certificate for you. Make sure I give you the right one. Congratulations. Thank you. And then Jerry as well. You want to make sure you are recognized too. Same thing. It's a lot of work to take on for sure. Jesse and Jerry, let's get a full picture that we can share too as well. The four of us.
Okay.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you to you guys. We are very much appreciative of what you guys do day in, day out. The full department, I know you guys this week too as well. We've had a few things going on that you guys have been working extra time on, and we appreciate that by all means, so thank you. Okay, let's see. I think we can move along now, guys, to public comments. So I'm gonna start over here to my left. If you're interested in addressing council, please just state your name, and you have 5 minutes to speak.
Stephanie Loudon, and I'm just here to ask about the sidewalks.
Sure.
So, I just wanna know when our sidewalk next to the coffee loft is gonna be appropriated or done. It was supposed to be done, one of the first ones, because there's parking meters that were pulled up and that has never been repaired.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm here, just to see if that's gonna get done.
Well, we do have the grant that we were awarded that is going to probably take up to 2 years roughly to get everything in the scope of the grant completed. But I can assure you that kind of that streetscape, the sidewalks, that is going to be addressed within that grant. So
Okay.
the problem is there's a lot of red tape with the grant and making sure that we check the right boxes and do the right things because you know, there's that piece of the puzzle that we have to make sure in getting awarded this money that we follow the rules.
That's all I wanted to know.
But it's coming along, I promise, and it'll be there for you.
Thank you
someday.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
We're just here for the team.
Thank you. Sir, just
My
sit-
name's Xavier Walker, and I live on Virginia Drive, and I talked to you personally about income tax and stuff. In our road conditions back there, it is a private drive owned by a certain individual, and I reached out to that individual as advised, and very rude man. And so I reached out to Mr. Travis here recently, and I would like to see what we can do as a motorcycle operator to get the road conditions handled back there on Virginia Drive.
Yeah, so the property, and as we spoke previously, the property that you're speaking to, Virginia Estates, Virginia Drive, those streets still have not been dedicated to the village, which means it's on the property owner who currently owns it to bring it to the village as something that they want to put as a dedicated street, which that has not happened. I assume once that full development gets finished back there, that's probably going to be something that they will want to do. But for the moment, with it being a private drive, we have no jurisdiction over that road itself, zero. And
I'm just asking the council to stay on that property owner until something is done.
my guess is, again, if you want my 2 cents, my guess is that probably with that construction going on back there, probably he's waiting until the big trucks and the concretes and they come out to be able to repair the road and then probably ask to have it as a dedicated street in the village. I mean, I know it's a little bit of a nuisance to have those potholes.
It's a big nuisance because we were on the Harley the other night and there's loose gravel back there,
Yeah.
and going around that bend, the back tire kind of screwed out from underneath of us, and unroadworthy safe conditions.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, I can't speak to the laws or how that would work for you with the private owner, but again, we have zero jurisdiction over that until they want to have that street dedicated within the village.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How many houses is left or lots, do you know?
There's actually 2 lots left.
That have not been under construction?
Mr. Gibbs has completed his. So there is more. All of his housing is completed. Hensley's advised me that they're gonna not, that they're not gonna start building till next year on the 2 lots that they still have back there. So do we have to wait another year as property owners in the village of Georgetown before anything is done about it? Before this road is up to par, before the village takes it over? Do we have to keep paying our 1% to the village until this road is completed?
Go
So,
ahead.
yeah, so the way it works is the roads have to be brought up to conditions by the developer or the owner. And right now, they're full of potholes, is what I'm hearing from you. I haven't driven it.
It's horrible,
It's not in good condition.
very horrible.
So they could do it now. The developer, the owner back there could do it right now, or he can wait until all of the lots are sold. But that's not, we can't force him to do that. So what happens, you talked about taxes. We can't use taxpayer money to fix a private road.
I understand that.
But
Plowed and salted and, you know, treated it just like all, plowed and salted and, you know, treated it just like all the other roads that we pay for around here.
Yeah, I think as Joe said, I think the main thing is maybe having some discussions with your neighbors and maybe kind of trying to tackle it that way with the current owner and, you know, see if you can, one way or the other, get something remedied there, but we have zero
I went
jurisdiction.
to the owner's office as advised, and very rude,
Yeah.
very rude.
Yeah, I don't know what, you know, where you take it after that, if it has to end up, you know, as a legal action, something that the homeowners do
Right.
passively can't speak to that, but there's really not.
There's a lot of homeowners back
Yeah.
there that are
Maybe
very,
find some allies and see if
I mean, we
there's
pay
some,
decent money for brand new homes and,
yeah.
you know, the road
We feel
conditions
your-
are just
we
horrible.
understand, it's not that we, you know, it's just if we had the ability to fix them, we would, but we can't with it being private property, so
Right.
we understand.
is there an HOA by chance back there?
No, there's no HOA back there.
And do you know if when you bought the house, if there was any kind of maintenance easement or anything?
No, there's nothing. And we were told that when we purchased the homes, that when the lots are all sold, that they're, and it would be obviously taken over by the village. So we gotta wait 2 years as homeowners for them lots to be fulfilled before we can get our nice paved road.
Possibly, unless, I mean, you can implement or make a
Because,
change
you
with
know,
the other homeowners.
There's an accident back there on that private road. That private road owner is held responsible.
That's correct. That is correct. You know, I can tell you communities will sometimes take a road that's not up to standards, but the problem is the cost for us to bring that road up to standards shouldn't be borne by the
And
village.
it's way below
Yeah.
your all standards before you get to take it over, from what I understand.
Well, we certainly wish you luck. Again, I would highly suggest kind of getting some allies with the other homeowners and maybe, you know, addressing the current owner of the property.
I've addressed it. I've talked to the other homeowners that are very upset with it. And they said they were gonna come up here tonight, but obviously they're not here.
Yeah, and I mean, we're happy to talk through any, you know, their frustrations, but at the end of the day, it really comes back to, again, we can't do anything. Maybe it's
Right.
about taking it to the next step and seeking some legal,
Getting a petition together and stuff like that.
a petition won't help us either.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the process is pretty black and white.
Right.
The private property owner has to bring it to the village, ask for it to be in. Of course, we're gonna ask it to be up to grade level. And if it all works out, we'll take it in. But outside of that, you guys gotta figure out what your next steps will be.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody over here? No? Good? All right.
Mayor, we need to back up and do roll call.
Okay. Sarah, roll call, please.
Councilmember Campbell,
Here.
Councilmember Hanselman,
Here.
Councilmember Garbett,
Here.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Here.
Councilmember Mays,
Here.
Councilmember Baki.
Here.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Travis. All right, so we will move along to our general business. The first thing on there is item A, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for a property purchase. And that is on page 2.
We all are, should we do that now?
Is that for this item A?
Yes.
Can I hold it? So item A actually is going to be part of an executive session. There it is, I see it now. So let's pause on that for a moment, and then we'll come back to that later in the evening. Let's go to item B, which is an ordinance adopting regulations for solicitors and peddlers in the village. Joe, or, oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Campbell, can you read it by title? It's page 10.
An ordinance adopting regulations for solicitors and peddlers in the village of Georgetown, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
All right, Joe.
Thank you. As you'll recall, the administrator actually brought this as a suggested idea for legislation to come before you. What we did is there are some standard regulations that the Ohio Supreme Court has ruled are permissible when it comes to regulating. It's called peddlers and solicitors, but we would commonly call them, salespeople and people that knock on your door while you're trying to eat dinner. So this will regulate that activity in such a way that, and you can imagine that if it's dark, or if you live alone and someone knocks on your door, it might alarm you. Do I answer it? Do I not answer it? What are they doing on my front porch? And this is a way for us to regulate some of that and say they have to register with the village. And they do that through the police department. We run a background check. We have a list of the names of who's going to be doing that. And these regulations have been found by the court to be permissible. It's not a restriction on their activity or on their commercial speech. So what this does is this will create a situation, and I think it's actually, it demonstrates that Georgetown is becoming busier because people are coming out here, and I know you had someone reach out to you about it. They're starting to solicit and knock on people's doors. Now, this does not regulate political speech in any way, and I think that's important. Courts have said we can't prohibit political candidates, whether it be for city council, state representative, judges, from going door to door and knocking. But this does regulate commercial speech. Most often you see it lawn care companies, pest control companies. Sometimes it's people selling, a variety of items. It does not affect the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, things like that.
What about religion?
No, it does not. This is commercial.
I thought I'd seen religion on here.
Yeah. Pardon me?
I thought I'd seen, religious organizations or ministry advocating their religion.
Those are, it's defining under the definitions that those are what are not going to be included. So what it really does is it creates a system where we kind of monitor who's doing the activity, and really it'll fall on Chief Enlow and his officers to regulate those individuals and what they're doing. So
Once the approval is made, then we can post on Facebook that this group will be coming around and notify the public.
And if there's a group that's going out, obviously, that doesn't follow the procedure, is that fall back on the police department to contact them and let them?
Yes, and in most communities, what they'll do, and this will be up to Chief Enlow to decide, is they usually give people a warning. Say, look, you need to move along. You don't have permission to be here, or how about you come down to the police station and you can register. And we have a registry, and that way if Travis or someone in the office gets a call and says, hey, somebody's soliciting for some, trying to sell these services, they were kind of sketchy, I don't know if they were legitimate, this will be able for us to say, no, they didn't register with us. So you need to tell them to come down and register. If they refuse to, the police can then charge them with illegal soliciting. And I believe, what is that violation? Check here real quick. There's also a fee, by the way, of $75. And I believe it's a misdemeanor if they're charged with soliciting without a permit. Oh, and it also limits the time from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now, I will tell you, some communities, when they do these ordinances, will say dusk or dawn. And the reason for that is, as we know, in fall and winter, it gets dark before 9 p.m. So I would say if you're uncomfortable with the hours, I have seen some communities see how it works, and then if they are getting people that want to continue to solicit between 7 and 9 in the fall hours, sometimes they'll amend these in the future to say, in this month, it's going to be this time, and in these months, it's going to be a different time. So that's the only other thing I would bring to your attention. But I think this is a very good base legislation to start, assuming that that's what council does want to do. I think that it most affects people that live alone and people that are older who may kind of be startled when someone knocks on their door unexpectedly and they weren't, ready for that. And I'm sure, Chief, you've probably had some people talk about that. I mean, especially in Georgetown, you do have some properties too that are like way back off the road. I mean,
This also allows us to create a list of people who do not want solicitation, and then we can give that out when we approve the permit. We can give them the list of people who do not want to be solicited, and that way that can be registered.
I think this last one we had issues where they were still soliciting on places that had no soliciting and trespassing.
and that's when you can say you got to leave their property. They don't want solicitors.
And how do you, what's the process for letting people know you don't want to have anybody solicit?
So once we have this set up, then residents can just call in and ask to be put on that list.
Okay.
And when these folks register fill out this application, it's not just a blanket for, ABC company. We have to know the individual, meaning that somebody can't put, a shirt on and say, I work for so-and-so, for lack of a better place, that we know specifically who's gonna be out representing that particular company.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, each person who's going to solicit has to be approved.
Any additional questions?
I'm not seeing exactly what a violation
Yeah, I'm okay.
gets to. I see misdemeanor, that's just in the application, looking to see if they've been convicted of any crime or misdemeanor.
Yeah, I was just noticing that too. I thought that ordinarily, on the base place you use, they do not do, what are they doing about that?
I'm not sure.
Well, that is something that we can do. I'm looking at it right now as well. Each of my communities do them a little bit differently as well. Because some of them do have built in there the warning system, others will have different things in it. Since this really wasn't vetted yet, like to a group, we did take the one that has been used in a couple different communities. If you would like, that is something that we could add, if you want to do that. I'll solicit input from you, how you guys would want to handle that. Would you want it to be handled administratively, or do you want to make that a criminal violation?
You're talking about after they've already had a visit from the police department and said, hey,
Yeah.
don't do this.
Because right now, it does look like it's just an administrative violation, the way it's worded.
I'd rather it be a ticket.
There should be a fine if we've got to waste resources.
But you want it to be a fine and a violation. In other words, we can do an administrative fine, like where the village will give them, something where they have to pay, or we can send them to mayor's court. That would be the
That might be the better, maybe to send them to the mayor's court. If we're spending the time in the village, then might as well get something out of it.
I think you get more weight as far as them paying through the court as opposed to if it comes from Travis saying, you owe us money.
I would also like it better if it was from dawn until dusk, because I don't want people coming in the winter whenever it's, pitch black at 9 p.m. and I'm trying to get my kids ready for school the next day.
Yeah.
So what I can do, this is the first time you've appeared in front of me, you can do it as a first reading. What I might suggest then, you want me to make it the fall and winter months, we'll do dawn.
You just do dusk till dawn all year long, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's not ours, that's dusk
I guess
till
that's
dawn.
true, we can do that.
Yeah.
You wanna do it that way?
Yeah, when the street lights come on,
Any other things that you would like to see in there? I'll obviously make that go through mayor's court and make it a misdemeanor violation. Anything else, Travis, that you can think of that you might wanna look at? All right, what about the warning? Do you wanna have a built-in system that they get a warning, or do you wanna leave that to the discretion of the police?
What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I don't want to cite nobody for it unless I have to, but I like the idea of the mayor's court idea because that gives us authority if they just blatantly refuse it. Right. Because every time that I've ever dealt with anybody, they've always been cooperative, but it's the ones that you might get an issue with. We gotta have some kind of teeth, and like the administrative thing, I don't think would work. But to add on that, you talked about the register and all the stuff that I will need to do. Is this something that you're gonna create, or do I need to create?
We already created it, it's actually in here.
Okay.
Well, the application is
I've
attached.
seen that, yeah.
So the application is attached. The list is something that you could work with Travis.
Yeah, well, I'll do that.
As far as the background check goes, is that just like an OLEG type background check of social past criminal history?
As you would for anybody else.
No.
So in that, by them applying on the application, that gives us the lawful reason to do the background check. Because as you know, you can't use these otherwise.
So is there a fee for that? I guess I.
$75.
Yeah.
So,
It's on page 12.
Yeah.
and again, that's really meant to compensate the village for the time it will take to do the background check, and all of that. It's not meant to be punitive.
Okay, so do we wanna do this as a first reading and then Joe can make amendments to it?
Can you bring that back to you at the next meeting then?
We've already read it, right, so we're good. Okay, Joe will bring that back. All right, page 16 of your packet. You're gonna see in it, an ordinance adopting pay rates for certain positions in the village police department. And what this is kind of itemizing those, we've had this before, but what we found, there wasn't a formal document, which is kind of, being paid, so we wanted to kind of formalize everything, put it in writing, so Sean, I'll come to you and you can kind of explain what the different pay pieces are here.
Yeah, so basically, as you see here, I just come up with what I felt like was fair for different job duties that was outside what a normal officer would normally do. So, actually, if you look at the property or the assistant, that's kind of like the highest tier. There's a lot of liability there with the property room, a lot of knowledge and a lot of training that goes into that. So in the past, guys just took on all these roles and they never got any type of extra pay or anything like that for it. So this is just kind of, it's not even that much, but it's kind of giving them a thank you for taking on those roles and giving them something to look forward to when they're into those roles. One of the problems, the reason why I immediately came out with this when I started here is the problem we had is I thought we already had this. So there was previous employees that were getting extra money for job details that I found out couldn't be taken away from them when they were not doing a good job or when they just blatantly refused to do that job detail. So this puts it in there to where, because I don't want nobody to do a job detail that they don't want to do. Now obviously I can say, hey, we want to do this anyway, but they can say, hey, I'm going to quit. So there's a fine line between that. And also, you're not going to do a good job if you don't enjoy the property room, because it's a daunting task. If you don't truly enjoy that job, you're going to do a bad job at it. So we want to reward them for that job. But we also, if there comes a point in time, you're like, you know what, I've done it for a few years, I want to do something different, we can take that pay away from them and give that pay to somebody else that does want it. And then it just kind of goes on down the tier to firearms instructor, police department trainer, field training officer, things of that nature.
Is this automatic going to happen, or do you just want the ability to do that?
I want to be able to give this to them now, because they're already in those positions. And I felt that when I was here, because I took every position available. I was a firearms instructor, field training officer, supervisor. I did interviews for hiring, I did background checks, and I got no money for none of it. But then I found out other officers that was working under me was getting paid more than I was for positions that I didn't even know existed. So it created a lot of tension, and I didn't want to do that when I came here. I wanted to be able to reward people for doing jobs outside of the scope that we're asking them to do.
Is this every day or what, just while doing that particular?
Yeah, like the property room, the training like that is every day. That's why I like the firearms instructor is like 50 cents per hour.
over the course of a year. I think it's a matter of like $300 or $400 or something like that. I'd have to look at it. I had it added up when I did this, but just like the firearms instructor takes a lot of liability. If any of our officers get into a shooting, that firearms instructor is going to be the one on stand testifying of why. So there's a lot of extra liability, and I feel like 50 cents is probably even low for that liability, for that officer to just take that job. Now, the only one that would be while they were training is the field training officer. The field training officer, they usually train them during their shift for 3 to 4 weeks until a new hire gets trained. And that officer would just make that $2 per hour extra during that training.
That 50 cents would come out to be $1,040 a year, roughly, for 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah.
So are we looking for a motion on this?
Yeah, well,
I'll
we
make
have
a
to,
motion.
hold on, we have to have, Councilmember, Campbell read it by title first.
Are you ready?
Yes.
An ordinance adopting pay rates for certain positions in the village police department and declaring an emergency.
Alright, is there, a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Alright, Councilmember Mays has properly made the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Baki. Tara, roll call please.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Baki,
Yes.
Councilmember Halselman,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Garvin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 1372, 1372.
Thank you. Alright, page 18, ordinance authorizing the fiscal officer to create the law enforcement trust fund. Travis, can I come to you on this, or?
Sure.
Yes.
So this is a new fund that we need. There was we were notified to do this by the audit from the 2020-2021 audit. And this creates a fund. We have $10,000 that needs to be moved from the general fund to the law enforcement trust fund. And this is a fund that is used when there are forfeited funds or proceeds from the sale of forfeited items. So like drugs, vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't have that fund, we just had it itemized separately.
I'm not sure how we made it this far without the auditors telling us to do that, but we will have it now.
Yeah, so it's just creating that fund and getting everything shored up that we have on the books. Councilmember Campbell, can you read it by title?
Sure. An ordinance authorizing the fiscal officer to create the law enforcement trust fund and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion? If not, I will.
Motion approved.
Councilmember Mays has made the motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Campbell. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Garvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Halselman,
Yes.
Councilmember Baki,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Motion passes. And do we need a number for that one?
Ordinance 1373, 1373.
Thank you. All right, page 19, ordinance adopting a revised income tax ordinance. Travis? Oh, okay, so Joe's gonna share an update here.
So every year, well, not every year, but every few years, the state of Ohio requires us to bring our income tax ordinance into compliance for various things. This year, before we reach the end of the year, we have to make certain changes to our income tax ordinance, so that when people are filing their returns at the end of the year, they know what guidance to use. I'm still making changes to it. When I went back and looked at it, our income tax ordinance was last revised in 2019. There was a series of changes that I worked with Natalie on making, but what I realized is that prior to 2019, there's actually some other updates that have not been made. So I'm in the process of going through, tracking those changes and making those revisions. I had hoped to have them today. If all I had to make were the updates for 2024, it would have been very easy, but there are some things that are just not updated in there. But I will bring those to you at your next meeting, since we kind of had a work session and a business meeting together tonight. I have made the changes for 24 and feel comfortable with those. And just so you know, a summary of what those are. One of the things is it spells out the fact now under Ohio law, if you're a minor under the age of 18 and you're doing work, it spells out that your income is not taxed. You don't have to file a tax return. In the past, if you made a certain threshold, you did. I wish my kids made as much as the threshold was, but they don't. And I would think most kids don't. But actually, in the age of all these influencers getting paid and things, I can see where they would. But the other thing that it also talks about is working remotely, which is something that affects us because, as you know, during COVID, when people were working remotely, they had to pay taxes in certain places. And they said, well, if I'm working from my home, I shouldn't have to pay in those communities. It now kind of cleans up some of that language and defines what it means to be working remotely and where you start your work and where you end your day. The other changes that were made are it just spells out the fact that you have to file a return and how to do that. And then there's some other administrative changes that I didn't think were as significant. I can't tell you yet, though, what the changes are that we haven't, adjusted in the past, but we will bring those into compliance. Even though legally, we're still obligated to follow what the state passes. That's the way the state income tax ordinance works. It's really a convenience for our residents that we go ahead and spell it out in here how that process goes. So I will have that for you, but I wanted it on the agenda even if I didn't get it done, because I had hoped to get it done for tonight. So we'll have that to you in your next package. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. I will tell you, there's no radical changes, to be honest, in what I've seen so far, other than the ones I've mentioned to you, and the rates and things are all the same. This is not an increase of any kind.
All right, thank you, Joe. All right, page 20, you're gonna find that you have, August 22nd, 2024, the regular session of council meeting minutes. Take a look at those, again, page 20. If there are any edits or questions, please let us know when ready. I would just entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilmember Campbell has properly made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Hanselman. Tara, roll call please.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Garbett,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Baki,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanselman.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. On page 23, you will see meeting minutes from the most recent historical sign committee. Again, that's on page 23. Take a look at that. When ready, I will entertain a motion. Congratulations, Mika. Looks like you're the chair of that committee.
Yes. By default. I'll make a motion to accept.
All right, the motion has been made to accept these
I'll
meeting
second
minutes.
that.
Seconded by Councilmember Mays. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Garbett,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Baki,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanselman,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, guys. And then moving right along, Travis, do we have a playground update for
We
tonight?
do, we'll have more next month. I did get a couple of options today. I wanna go through those with the salesperson, and I wasn't able to get that done yet. So next meeting, we will have, legislation to authorize that to move forward, and we'll send out some, sample images of the, playgrounds that we're looking at, and we'll go from there.
Yes.
I'll just save it for intake. So.
Okay. I was just gonna say, speaking of the playground and the park itself, I do know that the basketball courts were completed. It sounds like with the basketball equipment put into as well. So if you've not seen that, make sure you make it out there to see that.
I'm sure I got already too, weren't
I think so, yeah. Travis, item I, paving update.
Yeah, the paving bids are out. We are gonna have a bid opening on the 20th, so we'll see who the low bid is, and then I'll check their schedule, and then we can decide whether we need a special meeting, but between now and the next, October meeting, because we wanna make sure that we give them time to get the paving done, yet this year, so we'll just kinda see how that plays out, and then we'll decide what we need to do.
All right. Any questions there? All right, and then the last item there, discussion of the Halloween night trick or treating. So we do have a resolution that we adopted a few years ago regarding trick or treat night. That as we adopted it, it falls on October 31st from 6 to 7:30. Instead of picking which night would be best to do it. Having said that, Mike did come to me with an idea, and I just wanted to put it out for council to see if there was any interest. And that was to kind of make it, to follow up on the trick or treat night and make it maybe a little bit larger of an event, giving them something to do after trick or treat. If you aren't aware, or you are aware, we do close down Main Street from Ohio Street to 4th, down to your, yeah, is that 4th? So 4th, so pretty much the whole Main Street, we adopted that maybe last year or the year before for safety reasons, obviously. And that's where you see the biggest influx of trick-or-treaters is right there on Main Street. Mike had an idea of maybe taking that influx of people and maybe capturing that audience and giving them something additional to do after trick-or-treat, maybe around the square. So Mike, I don't want to say any more than that, but I mean,
Yeah, actually, we can talk about that. I think we were talking actually doing it November 1st, maybe.
Yeah, I was looking for some.
Doing maybe like a fall festival, kind of piggyback off of the whole Halloween thing. We even talked about doing a little haunted house there in the bottom of the building up there behind the Republican Party, and just doing something there and doing something on the square and kind of pulling it all together for extra activity. So I think we're going to have a little bit more deeper discussion in the next week or two about that. So if any council members would like to be a part of that, it'd be great to have all the help.
So let's just, as a whole, since it is a work session, let's just kind of talk about it for a minute. Is this something that council would like to do? If we were to do something like this, would you want it on trick or treat night, which is October 31st, or would you want to move the whole thing to the Friday, which is November 1st? What's the feel, or is this something that we just don't want to do? I just want to really get an idea from the group here.
So I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think anything would be a pretty nice touch to do for sure. I like the idea a lot. If you were to do, just for me, because I hand out candy, if you were to do something on Halloween night, I'd want it to be after, what is it, 6 to 7:30?
Yeah, so from like
that. So a little bit after that, so it'd get time to get up there or whatever. And if you were tying, I know there was some talk in other towns about doing best costume and all that kind of cool stuff. So I think you could tie that into trick or treat for sure. And if you still wanted to not do that and do the fall thing, I'm game for whatever. I think anything would be.
So would you do 2 nights of event? See, I think it would be nice to just do 1 night of an event, maybe 6 to 7:30, do the trick or treat, and then after that provide some entertainment, maybe on the square, keep the road closed down there at that portion, and then do maybe a costume. I mean, food truck. You could do.
I was wondering if it'd be in a school night.
So I was thinking maybe like
For
moving
younger
it
kids,
to.
like if you did it on Friday, it would be nice because they don't have to get up and go to school night.
Would you move the whole trick or treat night to Friday?
That would work. That's November 1st, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have discussed with the person also about DJing on that, and I feel pretty good about it, but I don't want to say yes, I've got them yet, but I feel like I got a person for that for when we discuss the 1st. Now, 31st, I don't have that, but
No.
I'm not saying.
Well, here's the problem. So we don't have a second meeting this month. I firmly believe if we're going to, if we want to make it all one event and maybe move everything to Friday night, we need to start broadcasting that now. Like, hey, we're not doing trick or treat on October 31st. We're doing it on November 1st. So that would be, and then building it up from there. Everybody can really work together and maybe make it something. I mean, what is the consensus on moving it if we were to do an event like this?
I like the doing on Friday night, like she said earlier. The kids don't have to get up the next day so early.
Well, I'll speak from just knowing a school teacher or two. The sugar rush, I'll use that word, they have the next day. I'm sure they would appreciate you moving it to a Friday so they don't have to have them all jacked up at school the next day. So that'd be a good idea.
So what would we need to do to move trick or treat? We passed it by something previously.
I think it was motion, so we can do it by motion.
Can we allocate some funds for some things for that? And the only reason why, through this right here discussion, the only reason why, I mean, I think it'd be cool, like, if we could buy, I mean, I don't care to take the extra time to build stuff, but when you're pulling all that money out of your pocket, but like, I thought maybe one of them old spinny things, or put some balloons up that they could throw darts at, or beanbag toss, or something that, you know, we can kind of build on every year from this point, so that it's,
So you would envision this as being a village-sponsored event? So-
I think it should be. I think
Yeah.
that that's the way we kind of ought to gear
So
for a
like
lot
if-
of these events.
Yeah, so your answer is yes, then the village could appropriate the funds to be used for an event. If you're talking, you mentioned a haunted house, if that's gonna be on private property, then we would have to get insurance
Right.
of some kind to cover that. But yeah, I mean, if you're just gonna do things on the square, decorate, maybe build some things out there, the village could appropriate funds for that event.
Okay.
We would just, you know, we could, I don't know how you wanna determine how much we're gonna spend and what we're gonna do with it, but yes.
Would it take away from trick or treating?
I
The
would-
process of trick or treating if you have a carnival going on in the middle of
We
town.
wouldn't start it until after. We
So-
would start it until
so-
Sunday.
So you would just barricade it off and
Yeah.
like kind of
Do something,
monitor that?
Yeah.
Well, I think you could do like a trunk or treat too, you know, have vehicles set around the square. I know a couple of years ago, my son and all of his buddies have these cool lifted trucks, you know, when you're, and they really wanted to, they was all gonna buy their own candy and set it up, but there was no organization to do nothing like that. And, you know, I was really surprised actually that them boys was willing to spend the money to fill their truck up with candy to give it away.
Well, I know most of us know, but I buy 1,000 bigger pieces and I have 1,000 come past my house. So, I think you would still get, if you wanted to do something around the square. My only concern would be if you had it open during trick or treat hours, it would kind of change that. But if you're going to close it down, then
Keep in mind too, if everybody else in the county is on Thursday.
Yeah, you're
we'll
gonna have
additional people here on Friday.
yeah, that's
So the other thing I'll bring up, just to correct, I just looked, we did do it by resolution that the streets would be closed every Halloween. And the roads are closed, between the intersection of North Apple Street and North Main Street, and the intersection of South Main Street and South Apple Street shall be closed on Halloween. And it says they will not affect traffic on 125, because we can't control that. So if we were going to move Halloween to Friday, we would probably need a resolution to modify this resolution for this 1 year when it's falling the way it's falling, unless you wanted to do that.
Does it state the actual day that we do?
It says proportions for Halloween in the village.
So really, depending on how you read that, it would work.
It's true.
Yeah.
So no, October 30th.
you would have
Yeah,
a
it
lot
doesn't
more
use
people.
October
in town.
31st.
It'd be kind of cool that, now we got a food truck.
So I guess if we designate Halloween as November 1st.
Yeah, I think if by motion we designate Halloween on November 1st in the village of Georgetown, then yes, you can move this and that to that day. I think that's how we have to do it. Because it doesn't say Halloween on October 31st, it says Halloween.
Now, this is a real short window, so if you're talking about
Yes.
setting stuff up, getting stuff organized, and doing all that, how many days you got? How many weeks you got? A few, right? Like a month?
Right?
But I kind of see it more as people setting up like a trunk or treat and doing a few little activities, not nothing extreme, but you know, the trunk or treat part of that and the haunted house part of that, and maybe do a few fun things around the square to kind of intermingle in between, but I don't know that it have to get that complicated.
You could
I mean,
also, oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you could just do, if you did a few trucks on the backside, trunk or treat, maybe utilize the village trucks, the police, or the fire department, and the police are always out on trunk or treat, maybe have a big fire truck on the square, like touch a truck type thing. maybe have a utility truck, touch a truck where kids can see that, and maybe we have a village employee giving out candy.
Well, they had also things on the internet where you could buy that's like a plastic cover, kind of like if you think about Christmas, how people wrap their front door. But these were like 4x8 things that had like little, like a beanbag toss, and you got a piece of candy or something like that. And they were fairly cheap, but yet you just had to build the back to fasten into so that you'd have it in the future as well. But I mean, maybe that's going too far. But I mean, we're here for the ideals of what everybody thinks. So I'm cool with whatever. I just think it'd be cool to do something extra.
So if you were talking a haunted house, you brought that up, right? Is that?
We're putting you over that. That was president of council's job.
Yeah, my face is scary enough for sure. But are you talking about we're going to take over your building and make haunted
The back
areas?
section, basically we would go through the back and then come through all of the back areas. And I mean, it's quite a large area in the back of there that's not being used.
The other thing, did you hear, Joe, that if you did something like that, that's an extra liability insurance?
What would
that
the
might-
insurance be for something like that? Would it be astronomical? Would
I
it-
think it seems to me it's like 4,000 for something like that, but I would need.
Maybe that's something that could be like, see this year how it goes, maybe not do a haunted house, maybe just
Right.
kind of keep it simple.
Yeah.
Maybe get it,
Advertise for like trunk or treat and have extra people come set up, like, I mean, even just since like I moved to town, like we have 3 or 4 families that come and set up with us, like we put up an inflatable and put our chairs out.
Mhm.
And I mean, like, a group of kids come through and they get a half a bag of candy just in our little portion, you know, from 113 to 115. So if you have people set up like all around and there's food trucks and a DJ that starts at 7:30, and then you do like a costume contest, like I think that draws a lot of people in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And being a Friday night too, like it helps, I think, with the school age kids. Like they'll get out of school, they'll have time to like recharge and then not have to get up.
Do you do like Monster Mash?
Do you think that, I've seen the haunted houses, I know you've seen them too, at schools. So do you think, you know, high school students might somebody want to join in and like work the haunted houses?
well,
like
I
they do?
think the haunted house might be like a little
Yeah.
over the top just because of the insurance right now.
Okay.
Maybe scale back on that this year and build it just in this like a little mini street thing and keep it simple, see how it goes, see where our weak points are, what we need to improve upon for next year, and just really test it.
Or we could also, if you did it on a Friday and we're looking at more people that could potentially come, we could put $4 or $5 on the door to go through a haunted house and cover it with the cost of that. Just saying, if you did want to entertain doing something like that.
How about this? How about we have, Mike, definitely maybe 1 to 2 other people that wanna kinda help build this out. I mean, I'm fine helping, and maybe we can kinda start really getting a map of what this would look like, because I'm thinking there are a few woes with a lot of it. Anyway, you know, like the trunk or treat, how do you get the people in there, how do you keep them in there, not getting them moving out when they wanna go home type thing. So we gotta think through some things to make sure that it's safe and it's also efficient from setup, because you're also doing it during the time, you're gonna be setting up as people are trick or treating. So we gotta really think through, but how about just, I'm happy to help. I know Mike wants to do it, one other person. You, Miranda, is that what you want? Yeah. Anybody else feel strongly that they wanna be a part of? Okay, so can the 4, and then if there are any other ideas, please share those with one of us and we'll kind of get a plan going.
Here's a question, because we have 3 council members with that, then
Yeah, I was
we
thinking
need to
that.
announce that.
I mean, I'm really cool
Three's
with it.
okay, 3's okay, alright. Good.
We need to do that too. So let me summarize, but Mike was gonna say something.
Well, I was just gonna say, I would be happy just to be a part of it and run and do what everybody needed done. I don't really need to sit at the head of it or the side of it. If 3 other council member people really wanted to do something, I don't care to gladly. I just like to see the activity on the square for the kids. So however it works out
You
best,
said
that's
it's fine to
totally
have
cool.
3 people
Okay.
set and discuss it, so it's fine. I'm just thinking we could throw out ideas all night long and be here until 10 o'clock. And if we kind of take it and guide it a little bit more and fill in the holes, we'll come back with something, I think. So, yes, please.
As a parent of a toddler, I appreciate trunk or treat. That way I'm not hauling around a toddler across this village and I'm just in one confined area.
Yeah, I think that. But
Is
we've
the
got to
Eagles doing, didn't they do like a trunk or treat or something?
I think they usually set up in the parking lot, like they invite all their members, like if they wanna set up in the parking lot, and then they
Yeah.
usually do
Yeah.
what, hot dogs?
Yeah, they'll have free hot dogs, and then if you wanna set up, you can out there.
Yes.
The Church of Christ as well does this.
We're not doing it this year.
All right, so let's do that. So it's gonna be Mike, Bink, and Miranda that will kind of work together in spearheading this, what it looks like. I'm sure Travis will be a part of that as well. And then by the time that we meet in October, we should have a pretty well-defined plan so that we're not just seeing what sticks right now. We'll put a plan together and present that for October 10th. But in the meantime, I think there is a strong consensus to do something and to do that on that Friday night, which means that we have to move trick or treat. And Joe, tell me what we have to do.
So we would need a motion that Beggars Night, or trick or treating as it's called, shall take place in the village of Georgetown on November the 1st, 2024 from 5:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Oh no, that's when the roads are closed.
Yeah.
We do it from 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30, yeah, there was a 30-minute swing each way.
Yeah, 6 to 7:30.
So that's all we would need is a motion, and then I would also highly suggest that you advertise that heavily.
On
Do-
the village page.
Sorry, do we need to, if we're going from 6 to 7:30 for trick or treat, and then 7:30 to 9 for the additional festival, we need to shut down the roads for a little bit longer,
We
or
will, but we don't have to.
we don't have to
We
do
don't have to
that?
specify that. We're only,
Okay,
it's specified in this ordinance or resolution that we passed a few years ago. So
okay,
that other piece is just an extra step that we know that we have to do. Plus, we have to
okay.
advertise heavily for this, which by formally moving it to November 1st, we can put the message out here tomorrow, that this is when trick or treat night is, and stay tuned, there's more to come after that. A special event is being planned, so
I can put together a graphic and email it.
perfect.
And we may wanna look at some kind of signage or letting them know for sure on, I know as soon as it's over, it's like unloading the traffic. There's cars backed up just waiting to go, and if you're gonna continue to keep it closed, we need to really advertise that as, yeah, you may have to open it just, is that the plan, just close it
Yeah,
just
not
as
through a lot of
Yeah,
this. That's why I said we gotta take away and
Yeah.
kind of get a smaller committee because there's a lot to think about there. But I think by closing the road, that our plan for closing the road, whenever we passed that resolution, was about the safety and people parking on the streets and kids starting out. So if we close the roads early enough there, which shouldn't be any secret or shouldn't be any
Right.
surprise because we've done it before, that helps with people parking on the street, not having people flowing in. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of holes that we need to figure out, but that's the point. Okay, so let's first get a motion in play to move trick or treat night or formally make trick or treat night on November 1st.
I'll make a motion
Spell it out, so that
to make trick or treat on the 1st instead of the 31st.
on the 1st of November, what time?
6 to 7:30.
Councilmember Mays has properly made the motion for trick or treat night to be on November 1st in the village of Georgetown from 6 to 7:30. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Barnhart. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bockie,
Yes.
Councilmember Honselman,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell,
yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Perfect. So just to summarize, the motion has been made and has passed, that we will have trick or treat night here in the village on November 1st from 6 to 7:30. In addition to that, your council members here are planning to put together an event after that from 7:30 to possibly 9 or 10.
that event will be advertised and spelled out a little bit further as we move along and get closer to trick or treat. But please know that, again, trick or treat is on November 1st, 6 to 7:30.
And our next meeting is on the 10th of next month. We'll try to come together
We will have
with
a
a cost
Oh.
of what we'll need roughly also by that meeting.
Yes, yes, so. Okay, alright, moving along, guys, moving along. We did have, Delbert join us, and, he, that second meeting of the month gets him when it starts at 6, I think, so, you missed the public comment, would you like to, address council with anything tonight, Delbert?
Just one thing, Delbert Eichholz, Georgetown. So a guy stopped at my office and said that the potholes up the subdivision are getting bad, and he's got a motorcycle, so he wants a second coat put on that anyway. I went up there and looked at it, yes they are. So me and Mike White that works for me will go up there and patch those for now. But the last two houses right on the corner, which all them trucks are gonna be doing this. And 20 years ago, Kelly Jones told me, we won't accept that road until you get all the houses done. So I'm at that point. So anyway, I'll patch it next week so it's good for the winter.
We had that discussion because the gentleman came here during public forum, and a little bit of what you said I just want to correct. It's not that we won't take the road to all the homes.
But if it's damaged.
But it has to be brought up to code.
Yes.
And the only thing I would tell you, you will have to get the permission of the owner of the road, because we don't own that road to give you permission to repair that. So you need to be aware. Oh, you own it?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know you owned it.
yes.
But thank you for coming.
Well, I
in.
learned something tonight then.
Thank you
So
for
do you know that?
doing that. That's awful kind of you.
Well, I do it every year, but
So,
you know that subdivision sat there almost 20 years since I started that road. And this past year, it's been busy, real busy. So yes, there is gonna be some damage, so.
And just so you know, you don't have to sell all the lots, you just have to bring the road up to code.
If
So-
you want it in the village.
If you want to bring that into the village.
Well, yes, but the thing I'm looking at is, I started that thing like 20 years ago. I got 200 grand in the road and the property. I hate to think what interest is done in 20 years on 200 grand. So that development has been a big loser, a big loser. I don't want to put the second coat of blacktop on there and then trucks tear it up and me have to go back and fix it again
Yeah,
before you accept it.
that makes sense.
So-
We
it's
just
good for
wanna-
the village really with that
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
too, so
It is.
Yeah,
it helps us.
definitely, so, well, it's good to know. Thank you. Alright, moving along, guys, page 24, you're gonna find your fiscal officer report. If there are any questions, Travis and I will try to navigate those questions for you. If there are no questions, you can move right along to page 26, which is your mayor's court report. And then page 28 is your report from Mike Click, our zoning officer. Alright, and if there are no questions about any of that stuff, we do have an executive session that we need to go into tonight. And if so, I would just entertain that motion
I'll make a motion
to read it.
to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G2 to consider the purchase of a property for public purpose.
Councilmember Councilman has properly made the motion to go into an executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Garbett. Tara, roll call.
Councilmember Garvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mays,
Yes.
Councilmember Barnhart,
Yes.
Councilmember Balky,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanselman,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Motion passes. You guys okay with staying in here? Which means Delbert has to make his exit. I don't think there's anyone on the other, we don't have to go in the back room.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you guys? Okay, so we're gonna move into executive session. Delbert